Hi, my name is Cheri. I feel like it's been a minute since I've actually made a regular video. I did want to tell you that on January 31st and February 1st, me and a couple of my girlfriends, we will be doing 24 hours of stamping over on our group site. There will be things that I get over here on YouTube and on my Facebook page, but all of the material will be on our joint stamping Facebook page, and you can find it on Facebook in two places. Our public page is the symbol @ Friends to Stamp, and if you are a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, then you can also find us at Creating and Sharing the Life You Love. But for 24 hours starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, January 31st, that's in the US. So for 24 hours, there will be material going up. We won't be live the whole 24 hours because we will be sleeping. Maybe when we first started stamping, this is my 25th year with Stampin' Up! And these girls have been with me almost the whole 25 years. Not quite, but close. Maybe 25 years ago, we could have done it 24 hours live together, but we will need to sleep a little bit. But there will be material posting. And so a lot of that has been what I've been working on, getting some of those videos up and going. But we have a whole lot of super great stuff. As you can imagine, to fill 24 hours takes a lot of stuff. So I've been working on getting that, but I wanted to get something that I could post today as well. So what I'm working on, I'm going to show you now, is kind of, because I have things laying on my table that I've used for other projects. So this is kind of a mishmash, and it's fun sometimes to just work with what's laying around. So I'm going to use the Breathtaking Bouquet, which is a standalone background stamp that is in the current mini catalog. It's beautiful. So you can use it as a background. I'm going to use it as the focal, but I'm not going to use the whole thing. And then one of the things that we are doing during our 24-hour live is one project 4 ways. So I just finished my segment for that. All 3 of us are doing it. So you'll get to see 12 projects just from that one segment. So I used the shimmer paper. I'm actually using the shimmer paper on 2 of my things so far. I'm not even close to being done with what I need to do, but for sure I'm going to be using the shimmer paper. So this is laying out. I'm going to use my Stamparatus. I'm going to use this first just because it's so delicate and I want to move it off the table. So what I'm going to do for this project is this is one of the new punches out of the holiday catalog. Not holiday, mini catalog. You can see on my sample that I have already made, I've used this one here. I'm just going to slide this in here because I need a piece that's big enough. Go over here. I just want a pretty filigree piece, because this background's really pretty and I just want some more filler for it. So I've got that, and that can just go on the card. Now I can move this out of the way. And then I've also got a piece of Blackberry Bliss cardstock that's going to be my background. Right in the midst of all of it, my husband did paint my table. It's not a proper, we sanded it back and started overpainting, but it looks a little bit better than it had been looking. It was looking a hot mess. So I've got my Blackberry Bliss here. And then I took the Parisian folder and I've run this through some vanilla cardstock. Then I'm almost out of shimmer white. I need to place an order for myself because I've used so much shimmer white. So I'm down to lots of little pieces. We had kits. Actually, we have maybe 2 left because we did a few extras. And I think there's 2 left. So if you're interested in stamping with us on that day, but almost all of my projects that we sent had shimmer white, and my husband offered to cut paper for me and he cut it the wrong size. So that didn't help my shimmer white cardstock situation because it's already my favorite. This is out of the poppies. We are going to be doing a whole session on the poppy suite. So this is laying here. This is one of the poppy sets. I don't remember which one it is. Looks like I can get it this way. So this has been laying on my table because, you know, this background set doesn't have words, so really any words. Then this is the other punch, and it does layer on top of this. I'm not going to layer it just because I wanted this to be beautiful, and I just use that because it's a nice large punch. You can also run that shimmer shimmery lace cardstock through the die cut machine, but it's easier to punch. So pop that out of there. This does have holes, so if I wanted to put holes in it either side, you can see it punches them, but I'm not going to thread any ribbon through it, so I don't need that. Move those out of the way. And then I'm using the Stamparatus a couple of different times next weekend. So it was laying here, so I thought I'd use that because the background stamps, sometimes they're just so big, it's nice to be able to control them. And then you don't need a block. You know, on my buffalo check, if you watch my channel, I often use it on it. So here's the first time I did it. I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm just going to use a piece of shimmery white. So this, I kind of ink it. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to see where it's going to hit. So this is where it's going to hit. Always just keep this flush up into the corner. I just use one magnet. And then you can always just keep this piece for this stamp set. So I want it to be kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect. I have a little piece of snail right here. So I want it to be kind of here. And it's not going to get all the flowers, it's just going to get some of them. And they don't even really have to be straight. Get rid of the, and then we're just going to ink it with Memento. And the first time I did it, I did a much larger swat, like a long piece of it. But it was really too much. We didn't need that much for this card. I was kind of just going for a little romantic kind of happy birthday card. I did use champagne rhinestones on this. I've also gone through inordinate amounts of champagne rhinestones, but I may have moved those because my one project 4 ways used a ton of them, and I think that I moved them over. I'm looking at all of the stuff I have still laying here. Okay. Just press that on there, and if you don't get a grate, it's not super fabulous because I really should have stood up, but that's okay. That's the wonder of the Stamparatus, is that I can get it again. It's really right here. It didn't get well, and it's partly because I was looking around the table for my champagne rhinestones because I have lots of them, but I think that I've moved them. But that's okay, because this is kind of a bright and cheery card. So my one sample will be champagne rhinestones, and this one I may just reach over and grab the peacock ones. Okay, let's see if that is good. Oh yes, look how much better that is. So just pull this off. And then we're done with this. And because my table's freshly painted, I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper. A lot of times I don't stamp on scrap paper. Oh, look what I found under my scrap paper. Some champagne rhinestones. If you have not gotten these, they're so pretty because they're sparkly with just a tinge of color. So unlike our clear rhinestones, they do have color, but they're nice and neutral, so they go with everything. Okay, so I'm going to be painting this with, I have ink on my fingers, with our pigment sprinkles and some shimmer paint, and then a dried up Wink of Stella. If you don't have a dried up Wink of Stella, you can use a paintbrush, but you'll want to make sure to rinse it out. If you have a dried up Wink of Stella, then when you pop the lid back on, it'll be fine. So I'm going to start with the green, and I've already dumped some out from my original card that I've already made right here. So I don't need any more green. I'm going to need more purple, I know. So I'm going to show you some tips, and then I may paint and then come back and edit this so you don't have to watch me paint the whole thing. So just a tiny, tiny bit of shimmer paint, and this is the champagne mist, and then just a tiny bit of shimmer. And then you want to paint with it until that little bit of pigment sprinkle comes off. This is the Granny Apple Green, because it will give you natural shading. And as long as you can tell that your brush is still wet, then you don't need to pick up any more shimmer paint. But as soon as your brush starts to get dry, then get a little bit more shimmer paint. This is a technique that goes from beautiful to hot mess fairly quickly, because if you get too much of either one of these mediums on your brush, then it's too much. So I want all of these big leaves here because we've only got one green to work with. So I'm going to do all of the big leaves. With a pretty strong concentration of the green. And you do need to make sure that it is all wet, like all the pigment sprinkle is wet, because if it's not, then it will come off on whoever gets the card, and you don't want it to come off on them. Okay, so I think that's all the big ones. So now I'm gonna go down to this next size, and this time I'm gonna let my brush get really, really light with the green. So my leaves get to be a lighter green. And you can see that one little pickup of ink lasts for a long time. It's hard to see where the leaves are when I'm also talking. I think that's about all of them. And we've got all these little round leaves as well. So on the scrap paper, I'm going to get rid of most of that. And then for my round leaves, if there's a little bit of green left, you can see there's a little bit on there. But I want them to be ever so slightly, kind of like seafoam. And it's a nice way to clean off your brush as well. So the longer I go, the more just gold they'll get, but that's fine. So just hit all of those. And again, sometimes it's hard to tell what's a flower and what's a leaf. I think that's all of them. And then if you see that you've missed anywhere, you can pick up a little bit of green, like right there, I didn't get the stem. So just go back someplace where there is green and you can pull that up. And then I'm just gonna wash that off on these little green ones over here. Okay, now let's do this big one right here, because if you work, leaves are obvious, and then I like to work with the biggest flower down because it's easier to see what you're working with. So let's do this one here. So let's get the Mango Melody. And our pigment sprinkles, if you haven't used them, they have a little lid on top. It just takes a tiny, tiny bit. So just tap some out. If it does get on your table, then your table will be stained, so you'll want to work on scrap. And again, just a tiny little bit in here and pick that up. And then I'm going to first brush the really dark bit again onto where these are. The little lines on my flowers. So those stay the darkest. And just like this. And then as my pigment sprinkle comes off, I'll kind of pull it around. Do it one more time around there. And then I'm going to go kind of like in the back. And then do one petal at a time. Because then as your stuff comes off, that petal stays that color. If you just brush over the whole thing, then you kind of lose the definition of the color. But again, you can kind of reach in there and get, so see here, this one's lighter. When it gets dry, just get a little bit more paint. But if you just brush the whole thing, then instead of getting individual petals with color, it looks like a child colored it, and you don't want that. And if you liked coloring as a child, you'll love doing this technique because it's so much fun. So this back one back here, to give it some definition that's different than this one, I'm just going to pick up a tiny bit more of the mango. And then this right here is the Melon Mambo. There's plenty of it. So I'm gonna put down a coat of it, but we don't have an orange. There's only 6 colors and 2 of them are yellow. So I'm gonna first lay down some pink. And then put some of that back over the top and then kind of pull that out there. Okay, and then we've got these 2 flowers here look kind of like they're the same. So I'm going to do these pink. This panel is actually a little bit bigger than the one that's on my original card. So I'm going to paint this one here, and then I'm going to paint this one here and just come back and it will be magically done. So the pink is really the funnest color to work with. Is that a word? Because the longer you go with it, and depending on what kind of pigments, there's different kind of when you dump these out, different, the little flakes of stuff can be different colors. So sometimes with the Mambo, you can get what's almost orange or almost purple. So as you color this, and it will only work if you use a light touch, because if you grab too much of that, then you're going to get too much anyways. But it's almost like a stained glass thing. So just get a tiny bit and do one individual thing at a time. And you can kind of, when you've gone from a light to a dark, then move to another one. I've got a freshly inked up. And so then move to one that's kind of close to it. And then as it gets lighter, then I'll move over here. And you can see it starts to go more on the orange tinge. So don't be tempted to go over there and grab more of the pigment sprinkles every time, because you don't need it. Okay, now we can get some more. But you want to kind of alternate your lights and your darks. So I'll finish coloring these 2 pink ones, and then I will be back to do a purple one. Okay, I've done these 2 Mambo ones, and I'm going to do purple. And this is Gorgeous Grape. And it's another one where you can kind of even see, maybe, it's kind of far away. Some of those little things that come out are almost blue, and some of them have a tinge of pink, and some of them are straight up purple. So it's the actual mixing of them that gives the Gorgeous Grape. But when you're just pulling in this tiny one, and I'm not going to clean this because I don't care if the first couple of them have a little bit of pink. So I'm going to grab this one that looks a little bit pinker and do the center. Because if it has a little bit of pink in the center of the flower, that'll be fine with me. And then I'm going to do the same thing where you do a section at a time. See, this one's going to get some of the pink. It's a lot pink. So let's get a little bit more purple to cover up some of the, which is a pretty color, except that it's right next to my pink flowers. Now these over here, I would really like them to be a light blue, and unfortunately our blue is Bermuda Bay, which is a dark blue. So we're gonna work with what we've got. So I'm going to start first, and I'm gonna use up a tiny bit more of this purple, but I'm gonna get the pigment sprinkle first. And I'm just going to do the veins in the purple. And then I'm going to try to get this off. Sometimes your scrap paper is really pretty, so there are times when I do all this onto a piece of vanilla, and then you can run those through dyes. You may have seen me do those before. Now I'm going to get this, and I'm going to pull in some yellow to get these flower centers. Okay, and now I'm going to make sure that's off so I don't end up with green flowers. I'm going to get mostly this, and then I'm just gonna try to barely touch the blue. I tried that on my first card, and you're gonna see that it's a pretty dark blue card, a flower. Because it's a fine line with this Bermuda Bay from going from it being a tinge of blue to being Bermuda Bay, which is a beautiful color, but I just really would like a light blue. So with this, I'm going to work, that's part of the reason I did a little bigger swatch this time, because my other one just has one of these flowers. There was no chance to get rid of these. This time I have a little bit more, you know, where we can come over and pick up some of that, see, and make it go lighter. Where it's here on the card, because where it was on my flower, there was really no place to put it except on scrap. So I thought, well, I'll let it be, and then I didn't really like it when it was all said and done, but it was dry. So there we go. And then you can see I have a tiny piece of grape in here, so I'm just gonna grab that out. And then just put this back on. Just, you don't want a whole lot in there. If there's a tiny bit, it'll just get mixed in there and you'll never know. This one's almost gone. This lasts for a really long time. And then, like I said, just do this. You can see it's clean. Pop that back on, and these will last for a very long time. Let's stick these back in my little case. And then this, anything that hasn't gotten the Stella on top of it or the shimmer paint, you can just use it again. So I like to keep it in this little tray, and that way I don't have to waste it. But look how pretty this is. Nice and shimmery, super bright, not messy at all if you do it this way. Okay, so now all you have to do is mount this together. So I want it to look kind of, I want it to look vintagey. The colors are kind of bright for vintage, but it is what it is. So we'll work with what we've got, because those are the colors of, you have the old Brusho. You can mix the two together and you can get a little bit more muted, because you can use all the colors together. Or I would like our pigment sprinkles to get some more colors, so they're not quite also bright. But the Brusho were all like earth element tones. So just kind of bend this over. Just want it to have a little bit of texture. And I'm going to mount this kind of sideways. I want it to be on the card, but give the illusion that it's kind of going sideways. Put some snail on here. And then we'll go ahead and, I think this should be dry. I'm going to take my scissors just to give it a little bit of texture as well. I'm not going to do that right on top of my card. Just take your scissors, and I'm only going to do this side that has the blank edge where there's no flowers, and just kind of scruff those up. You can press as hard or as soft as you like. If you press really hard, sometimes you'll cut into your card. It all just gets this distressed look, so it's fine. If you notice, while I was stamping, I had touched my card there. I think I must have had ink on my stamp apparatus. So there was a little bit of a smudge, but this just covers it right up. And then you can also take this and kind of just give it a little bit more texture by rolling that in. Nice thing about this is you can kind of angle it. However, if you have a part of your card that you like more than the other, stick it there. And then right here, I also got kind of a little bit of the tip. This, just go ahead and put some adhesive here. So the only thing that's actually going to be stuck is this little piece right here. Then this, the first time I did it, I thought it looked kind of plain. So I colored it with this, I'm gonna leave this one like this and then we'll see which one we like. This ribbon was laying on my table because one of the product suites that are our make and takes for our 24-hour stamping is the Birthday Bonanza. So this is the koalas and the toucans, but it also works for this vintage-y looking card. It's Daffodil Delight, yeah, it's ruched ribbon. So just get a little section of it. Then we're going to take some glue dots if I've left them here. Yeah, here's some. This is the thing when you start moving stuff to take to somebody else's house and you think everything's on your table. Because I have one of everything. We are doing our studio tours. So I've done my studio tour and it'll kind of help you understand if you watch my videos, because I have tons of everything, but I keep one of everything on my desk because you can't have everything here. But then as I start getting ready for camps, or in this case to take my stuff over, I put the stuff I know I'm gonna need and I move it. So then the one that I had on my desk often isn't here. So I did a loop and then I've double looped it, kind of like to make rabbit ears. So flip this over. And then just make sure that both sides get some adhesive stuck to them. And then you can kind of work with them on this way so they don't look like rabbit ears. Just kind of pull them. You want them to be fluffy, but you don't want them to be necessarily even. And then I'm going to take some dimensionals. Once again, did I leave them here or did I pack them? I thought I had everything because I had just made this card, but then I made 4 projects after I made this card. So this is our mini dimensionals, and around the edges, there's always a nice big loop of the fat outline. That's nice when they're gone. Stick this one here. And then the champagne rhinestones that I did have on the table. Let's just add these here. And you'll want 3 because are an odd number at least. You can do 5 or 1, but don't do an even number because then your eye automatically goes for the one that's missing. Oh, can't pick it up. There we go. Let's do one there and get one more. So this is a card that's made from stuff from the Parisian suite, stuff from the Birthday Bonanza suite, a standalone stamp, stuff from the annual catalog. It's just a mishmash. It's not everything that Stampin' Up! Sells. You can get it almost all to work together. So you can see this one's a little bit longer. I do like the longer. I mean, it didn't take that much longer to paint a couple more flowers. You can see I kind of hid the really Bermuda Bay flower under there. But if you have not painted with the pigment sprinkles, you're missing out because it's super fun. So here's today's card. Oh, and I did on this one, when I did this, so, you know, I'll take close-up pictures and put them over on my website. I also added a little bit of shimmer paint to the background of the card and then to these little circles on here. So I'm going to leave this one just because this is bigger. I'm going to let that stand for itself on this card. And then I'll put close-up pictures and you can decide which one you like best. Maybe on my Facebook page I'll ask. But I was saying something about our stamping, our 24-hour stamping. But no, I forgot because I glanced down and I saw that. But do join us next weekend. It'll be a ton of fun. And we will have lots and lots of things to show you. I think that we've got so much, but I'm fairly certain that Susan is doing this stamp set as her One Project 4 Ways. So if so, there'll be lots more to show you with that. So check out my January thank you special on my webpage. And my host code for January is actually going to end January 30th, so I can start a new one for our 24-hour event. So if you still are planning to order in January and you want the January free gift, then make sure you do it by the 30th. Have a great day.